This is what the overall suggested team I recommend should be. You can probably argue with me back and forth with the stars, editor, videographer, talent coordinator. You can go back and forth with me on that. I want to own them. I want them in my house. I want them with me 24/7, setting strategy, setting direction, and never, ever, 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 ever go into CBO. We've never seen it work. How do you do this? How do you need to hire? Whether you're a brand, agency, or affiliate, this is what it would overall look like. Starting at the creative side, whether you go internal or external, it does not matter to me. It's the same exact system across the board. For creative, this is how we believe for what we've seen from the people that are hiring, firing, and upscaling or reducing. Right now, we're hiring and firing at a very similar speed, especially as we're building towards what potentially is a recession or what potentially is a slowdown and pullback overall from my agency, which in my mind, an agency is a glorified marketing department that just does things a lot. Like we just have a lot of different people doing very similar things to service people. It's the same thing internally. So I want my creators not internal. I don't care. I don't want to have the same exact face consistently unless there's a face tied to the overall brand, business, product, offer you're selling. I want that external. It's going to be cost effective. My creative strategist, I don't personally care. I think the creative strategist role needs to be owned internally because of the consistency and the speed in which you need to move. But I can take an external opinion. I can take a consultant viewpoint from this, 100%. Creative director, I want to own them. I want them in my house. I want them with me 24/7, setting strategy, setting direction. Talent coordinator, AKA a PA, you can let them stay within you. I think they're important. That could potentially be a VA if you want. And then you go into editor and you go into overall copywriter. I think I want them in-house, cost effective, especially right now. The research and the accumulation, the only rotation that you're going to see here is I still think the creative strategist can go both ways. And I want to have the outreach VA because it's just so cost effective. I want to own them. I want them to be with me and my team for sure. Then lastly, the overall performance. I don't care. I really do not care where they're going to be. I want my media buyer with me. I know a lot of people use contract-based work, especially around the deployment of this content. But a lot of this is done, the heavy lifting is on the creative research side of things. And if we get into the overall strategies of what's working, what's been shared with me, it's pretty primitive from people that are spending anywhere between 5 to 15K. I haven't met anybody that's spending 30K plus. So if it's you, I'll see you at the TikTok mixer for sure, because we can't seem to crack this, and the friends that I know are not either. This is what the overall suggested team I recommend should be. You can probably argue with me back and forth with the stars, editor, videographer, talent coordinator. You can go back and forth with me on that. Indifferent. Let me give you the goods real quick. The overall structures and strategies. This is a list of people that I follow on Twitter that talk about this, that have more answers and more insights and more information than myself. And you and your team should have this list. Because if we don't know, they know. And they're very kind. They're very, very kind. They've given me a lot of time and effort and a lot of research going into this. Reiterating, the creative versus the deployment of the actual overall ads. I still think this is the most important area. I still think OG moves work. I still think more than anything, learning phase and TikTok ads is actually a very, very, very important thing. Facebook says, oh, learning phase, you gotta let it exit it, because I think that's full of shit. I've seen many campaigns scale without actually having learning phase. TikTok, that's very real. Everybody's expressed that as soon as the ads are exiting from TikTok learning phase, then yes, it's gonna actually give you what you want, what you've asked for. And then simplified account structure is something that lives here as well. 3 major campaigns that we're living in, not overcomplicating it. Sits like this. I'll call out this for Maxwell, because Maxwell Finn was one of the core people that taught us this. We will start with the overall prospecting, and I'm not even going to reference anything to do with remarketing at the current moment. He'll launch already, and we've done this on all the campaigns that we're having. Broad targeting, stacked, and lookalike. This is something very similar to our overall Facebook structure. Tying it in with video views and a reach campaign, because you still need people to see it. You still need the overall distribution. And talking about overall CPMs, TikTok is definitely where you want to be spending some of that cash, because it's going to give you a little bit more reach. The progression in which we would do this, part of my arrow drawing, is overall broad stock. It's kind of similar to what Jordan talked about with the ROAS Royce, because of the progression and the graduation phase sits into this structure. Simplification into isolation. Simplification into isolation. And then if you really want to get dirty with it, 1-to-1. Why I believe in this, I really would put this clicker down and jump off the stage, is because I think 1-to-1 in terms of one ad and one ad set for overall scaling, so that you can control where the budget's going, and never, ever, 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 ever go into CBO. We've never seen it work. This is a great brand. So his name is Ashvin Mawani. He owns a brand called Avi. It's a collagen supplement product, collagen supplement brand. Very, very active on Twitter. Talks about his wins, losses overall. His structure is similar to how Jordan is. Angle, it sits at the ad set. The overall hooks and benefits would sit in structure like this. So if you were to highlight the core things, and on TikTok, there's not too much time. So whereas Facebook, you can kind of walk them through this nice, beautiful story. You can bring in some demonstrations, some benefits, some hooks. These are the only 4 things that I want any of us in this room spending any time and effort on. And if I could be really, really specific, I'd go hooks, problems, and pain points. Because right now, if people are going to be tight with that cash, they're going to want to only give it away if it's going to solve a pain point, not necessarily make their life better, but not make it as worse. So I would really spend my time and effort there. So for Ash, when he's telling me about structures and he's selling collagen to women, he's rotating the settings. He's like, hey, I have my hooks, benefits, and features all together. I'm going to shoot that in the office. Then I'm going to shoot that overall in the bathroom. Then I'm going to shoot this overall in the gym. That's the diversification of how things are moving. There's not a typo there. Always leave the comments on. I've seen a couple brands do this for no reason. Take the comments off because they're afraid of the engagement or the poorness happening. That's TikTok. They want that. That's encouraging. I didn't do this by mistake. There's 100% no work with CBOs. Don't waste your time or your money. When in doubt, dupe it out. If it's working, just make a new campaign with it. Easily. You can even keep it in the same campaign, go ad set in. And lastly, optimizing for value will begin to work. This is something that they've been working on tremendously, and we started seeing in our accounts and across our other friends' accounts. This is something that I wish Facebook would have nailed, and they did not, unfortunately. But I do believe this is the path forward, specifically for TikTok and the ads that we're running.